Okay, picture this. It's a random Tuesday night, you're chilling on the couch, scrolling on your phone, and you finally decide to check your bank account. Not because you want to, but, well, because you kind of have to. And the numbers glaring back at you? Yeah, they look a little something like this. You've got 2,300 bucks on one credit card, maybe 4,800 on another, and let's say 12 grand in student loans. And every single month, you make the exact same promise to yourself, right? You say, okay, this month I am finally gonna make some real progress. But then the month wraps up, and somehow the balance has barely even budged. You paid 300 bucks toward that card, but the balance only dropped by 120. You sit there thinking, how is that even possible? Well, welcome to This Explainer, where we are going to break down exactly how you can escape this frustrating cycle.
Now, if you look online for help with this, someone is inevitably going to offer you that incredibly obvious advice, just earn more money, which is, great advice. Except for the tiny little detail that most of us can't just magically double our income by tomorrow morning. So the real question we actually have to answer is this: how do you get out of debt faster with the income you already have? Let's dive right into this, because the core thesis of our explainer today actually goes against what most people believe. The speed at which you get out of debt, it isn't just determined by your income, it's actually determined by a combination of math and psychology.
Which brings us to our first concept, the hidden debt trap. So, to really understand how those forces of math and psychology work, we first have to uncover what's actually keeping you stuck. Because debt doesn't just trap you with that top-line total amount that you owe. Nope. It traps you with the unseen, totally invisible math of interest that is constantly working against you in the background. Just think about the sheer scale of this for a second. According to data from the Federal Reserve, the average credit card interest rate is now sitting at around 20% APR. That means if you owe $5,000, the interest alone is costing you roughly $1,000 every single year. That's about $83 a month, just evaporating into thin air. If you're making a standard $150 monthly payment, almost half of that payment vanishes completely into interest. You're out here trying to do the right thing, but the system is quietly working against you. And mathematically speaking, that slow burn creates a massive psychological barrier. It creates a feeling of total hopelessness. I mean, when you don't see progress, when you pay $150 and your balance only drops by $67, you eventually just want to throw your hands up and stop trying. This dangerous cycle of paying without seeing any meaningful progress, that is the exact reason why so many people end up trapped in debt for 10, 15, or even 20 years. They haven't failed. They just got caught in a system that's literally designed to keep them on the treadmill. All right, moving on to concept number 2, avalanche versus snowball methods. Let's talk about focusing your firepower. So, how do we actually get off this treadmill? Well, the problem usually isn't how much money you're paying, it's how you're applying that money. Most folks with multiple debts try to be super responsible by spreading their extra payments evenly across all their accounts. But honestly, spreading your payments out is like trying to put out 3 separate fires at once using a single tiny garden hose. You spray a little water on each one, but none of them actually go out. Instead, you really have to choose between mathematical efficiency and psychological motivation. On one side, we have the avalanche method, which focuses strictly on the math and those nasty interest rates. And on the flip side, we have the snowball method, which completely ignores the interest rates and focuses entirely on human psychology and securing small wins. Let's break down exactly how each one works so you can figure out which one aligns with your own personality. Let's start with the avalanche method. Imagine a scenario where you've got 3 credit cards. Card A has a $3,000 balance at a super painful 24% interest rate. Card B is $4,000 at 18%, and card C is $2,000 at 15%. Now, let's say you have a total of $400 a month you can put towards your debt. Under the avalanche strategy, you pay the absolute bare minimum on cards B and C, and you direct every single other available dollar straight at card A. Why? Well, because mathematically, card A is the biggest fire. It's burning the most money every single day. By aggressively eliminating the most expensive debt first, you save the absolute maximum amount of money on interest. But hey, remember, we aren't just robots calculating math, right? Psychology changes everything. Mathematically, avalanche is the fastest, for sure. But psychologically, it can be an absolute grind. Enter the snowball method. Instead of obsessing over interest rates, you organize your debts from the smallest balance to the largest. Imagine you have a $600 medical bill, a $3,000 credit card, and an $8,000 loan. With the snowball method, you attack that $600 medical bill first. Why do that? Because you can wipe it out incredibly fast.
In fact, research from Harvard Business School found that people using the snowball method were actually much more likely to stick with their debt payoff plan. It gives you immediate, undeniable proof that you are winning. And sometimes, motivation is a way more powerful financial tool than a spreadsheet. At the end of the day, the best strategy isn't necessarily the one that saves the most on paper, it's the one you will actually follow through on.
Concept number 3, finding your hidden money. Let's look at how to redirect your cash.
Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking right now. Well, that's great and all, but I still don't have extra money to throw at my debt in the first place. And hey, that is a totally fair objection. But here's the secret. It isn't about magically creating new income. It is all about finding the hidden money you already have. Just look at this staggering number, $314. According to a study by C++ Research, the average household wastes about $314 every single month on subscriptions they barely even use. This absolutely proves that hidden money exists right now, today, in your current budget. You don't need a raise, you just need a redirect.
These are the common budget traps that are quietly draining your accounts. You know the ones. It's the 3 different streaming services, the gym membership you keep promising yourself you'll totally start using next Monday, forgotten apps on your phone, and all those random $9 monthly charges that you don't even notice anymore. Now just imagine doing a quick audit of these expenses and redirecting just $200 of that wasted money directly toward your debt. Let's see how that simple redirect builds a completely different future for you. If you have $8,000 in credit card debt at 20% interest and you only make the minimum payments, it could honestly take you over 20 years to pay it off. Over 2 decades. But if you take that $200 you found from unused subscriptions and just add it to your monthly payment, you eliminate that exact same debt in about 3 years. Let that sink in for a second. Decades literally shaved off your timeline with the exact same income, the exact same lifestyle, just a different direction for your existing money. It's a real game changer.
Which leads us to concept number 4, avoiding lifestyle normalization. This is a super dangerous behavioral trap.
Now, before you sprint off to cancel all your streaming services, we really need to talk about a phenomenon that destroys financial progress, even for folks who start off doing all the right things. It's called lifestyle normalization. Basically, this is when you accidentally increase your spending every single time you get just a little bit of financial breathing room. You finally pay off a credit card, and suddenly you think, oh, great, I have room in my budget for a new car payment. Or maybe you get a raise at work, and suddenly upgrading to a much nicer apartment seems perfectly reasonable. This right here is exactly why there are people earning 6-figure salaries who are still buried up to their necks in debt. Income alone absolutely does not fix spending habits. The real trick to escaping debt is having the discipline to not immediately replace it with new debt the exact moment you feel a little relief.
And finally, concept number 5, the payment stacking strategy. Here is how you actually accelerate your payoff.
Which brings us to the ultimate execution plan. How do we lock in our discipline, utilize our chosen strategy, and really accelerate our way to a zero balance? We use a simple 3-step system that kind of changes everything: payment stacking. Step 1, you choose your weapon. That's either the mathematical efficiency of the avalanche or the psychological momentum of the snowball. Step 2, you audit your expenses and redirect a totally realistic $100 to $300 a month away from those budget traps we talked about and toward your target debt. And then step 3 is where the magic really happens. Once a debt is paid off, you do not reduce your monthly payments. You do not normalize your lifestyle. Instead, you roll that entire freed up payment onto the next debt on your list. So if you started by paying $150 a month on one card and you pay it off, you take that $150 and stack it right on top of the payment for the next card. Over time, your debt payments snowball into these massive amounts. You might eventually find yourself throwing $700 a month at your final debt, not because you got a huge promotion, but simply because you kept stacking your payments. What looked like a 10-year problem suddenly becomes a 3 to 4-year solution.
Let's be real, getting out of debt isn't exactly glamorous. There is no magic viral TikTok hack for this. It is mostly just boring, consistent decisions repeated over time. But we really have to reframe why we are doing this. Debt doesn't just cost you money. It costs you your freedom. It costs you the freedom to leave a job you hate, the freedom to take a bold risk on a new venture, and the freedom to finally start building actual wealth. Escaping debt isn't just about getting your account to say zero. It's about buying back your future. Because the very moment that final debt payment disappears, all that money you've been stacking suddenly belongs to you. It becomes fully available for investments, for savings, for new opportunities. That is when the financial game finally starts working in your favor. So, I want to leave you with this one question to think about. What does your future look like when all your money finally belongs to you?
Remember, you don't have to solve this entire massive problem today. You just have to start moving in the right direction. Pick your strategy, find just one hidden subscription to cancel, and redirect one payment today. Because breaking free from debt isn't about one giant overnight breakthrough. It's about the hundreds of small, everyday decisions that slowly but surely change your financial life forever.